President Trump is stronger today than he was in 2016 or 2020. And there's a reason why. They saw the policies of what he was able to do with America, putting America first, making our economy stronger. We didn't have inflation. We didn't have these battles around the world. We didn't look weak around the world.
Well, it looks like Ron DeSantis is now trying to work with your colleagues who are pushing for a shutdown.
Yeah, but I don't think that would work anywhere. A shutdown would only give strength to the Democrats. I served with Ron DeSantis. He's not at the same level as President Trump by any shape or form. He would not have gotten elected without President Trump's endorsement.
Kevin McCarthy's finishing kissing Donald Trump's feet a little bit there and talking about his choice between Ron DeSantis and then President Trump. Well, by the way, I just want to address a couple of things because he said Donald Trump's policies when he was president were so overwhelming. That's why everything was, those policies he listed was putting America first. What is that policy? What policy is putting America first? That's a statement. It's a odd promise. Making the economy stronger. What's the policy? And also, we looked weak around the world now. What policy, bro? What policy? They say things like, we have policy, then they talk about slogans. These are not policies. By the way, I remember one Donald Trump standing next to one Vladimir Putin with his head down, and he said, everything that Vladimir Putin says about my intelligence agencies is right. My intelligence agencies lied on him. Is that looking strong around the world? Please, but still. She let him get away with that because it was on Fox News. Let's get to what he was talking about with Ron DeSantis, because that's actually the point of this whole thing. McCarthy then is mad about the fact that Ron DeSantis is potentially teaming up with many of his Republican opposition within the House to try and push this government shutdown for their demands. So of course, McCarthy was saying this about Trump versus DeSantis back in June though.
Could he win an election?
Can he win that election? Yeah, he can.
You think he can?
The question is he the strongest to win the election? I don't know that answer, but can anybody beat Biden? Yeah, anybody can beat Biden.
Well, he's kind of all over the place, but I guess he's testing the political winds, whichever as it happens. But Ron DeSantis did respond originally to the original statements that we saw at the top here about teaming up and shutting down the government. DeSantis says, Kevin McCarthy says I'm a little different from Donald Trump. I agree. In Florida, we run budget surpluses. We paid down our debt. I've kept every one of my promises. Meanwhile, McCarthy and Trump worked together to add $7 trillion, more debt than our country racked up in its first 200 years to the debt in just 4 years. It's understandable that the DC establishment doesn't want me to be president, and I wear that as a badge of honor. Pause, Ron. Were you wearing that as a badge of honor when you were in support of one Kevin McCarthy and one Donald Trump when you said, bigly, I'm a little Trump, as they were racking up that $7 trillion in debt? Were you supportive of it then? And why are you not for it now? Are you trying to separate yourself from the things that you were connected to then? Not necessarily with your agenda and your voting record, but you were definitely supportive of it. So what I heard from Ron DeSantis was Republicans add $7 trillion to the debt and do nothing about it, lie to you, and then say they're gonna do a better job the next time. That's what I heard from Ron DeSantis. Who's working for the Democratic Party again? Let's give a little bit more, because he was also asked about McCarthy's comments, and he slammed the speaker in his struggle to get that speakership in the first place. Watch.
I think that if you look at what's happened with DC Republicans, they worked very closely. Look, Donald Trump, he supported Kevin McCarthy very strongly for speaker. I don't think he would have won the speaker vote. Donald Trump was instrumental in him earning that speaker's gavel, and they worked hand in glove really throughout his whole presidency. They were on the same team on every major spending bill that came down the pike, and they ended up together adding $7.8 trillion to our national debt. Never in a 4-year period has that much been added.
Never in a 4-year period has that much been added. Never in a 4-year period has that much been added. So vote for Republicans again? This is again, a legislator and the president that he's talking about, right? Why would we want anyone? Who's left? You? Who supported them? Still, here's his the issue that Scott McCarthy's rough hair. He's all, what's the term? He got he's ruffled, his feathers ruffled. Jesus, man. I don't know. Politico says this. This is what DeSantis has been up to. The Florida governor spent about 30 minutes on the phone Wednesday with conservative representative Chip Roy of Texas, Thomas Massey of Kentucky, and Bob Good of Virginia. leaders of the cadre that is pushing House Speaker McCarthy to embrace a shutdown if Democrats won't agree to hard right policy demands. Pause. They said they're gonna embrace this shutdown if Democrats won't agree to their demands. But still, McCarthy says that'll be a benefit to Democrats. Democrats aren't looking for the shutdown, they are. More, his campaign spokesman confirmed it. They said Ron DeSantis knows that both parties, including the current and previous administration, are to blame for Washington's reckless spending spree. He's urging congressional Republicans to hold the line in this current spending standoff and in days of rubber stamping multi-trillion-dollar spending bills that harm the American people. Jackson, they act like there's no other party on the other side. They act like there's not so many people in Congress that have been voted to do opposite of what is it they're claiming the American people want done, but still they'll say it that way and then still be the ones to shut down the government. And then when things get worse, they then blame that party.
Well, the Republican Party continues to fight for the moral majority. You know what I'm saying? What is it? The silent moral majority. The longer I'm involved in politics, the more, a lot of things you learn. But the Republican Party has been singing the same tune for over 40 years. Like they have literally not done anything different at all for 40 years. And it's really not that hard for them to shift a little bit leftward. You don't even have to say that. You could just say, maybe we should have a little bit more factory jobs here. Maybe we should enhance domestic manufacturing, like simple things like that many a Republican would absolutely love. That kind of marked some of Donald Trump's first campaign when he won in 2016 in terms of who he spoke to. But I have to point it out. Somebody in the comments I saw said that Kevin McCarthy's too busy getting shaved 7 times a day to have to do anything or something, which was hilarious because he does look like he gets shaved constantly. But I think it's just what is a little bit different now, I guess, is the Republican Party isn't like completely homogenous, not just in being mostly white, but mostly just on the same path with how they move, what they vote on, everything that they agree upon. We have some dissent in the Republican Party now, which I guess maybe the Democrats could learn a bit from. Just in terms of, hey, I have the power to deny this and I want what I want. So, but at the end of the day, Kevin McCarthy is in a higher position. And if he had a spine and a backbone, he could, just kind of whip everybody's little behind aside. But that's not who he is, and so that's not what he's going to do.
Well, his position of power came from concessions to folks that can then whoop him into submission. So
right.
It's happening.
What was it, 15 times that he lost or something like 15. That? Yeah, it was 15 times.
That should be repeated because as it was happening, it was a big story. And then after it went down, I say a month after, we forgot the level of power this guy actually doesn't have as speaker. The position he was hoping for his entire life, and now he's like, damn.
And now he's just like, like like Eeyore just every day.
I was thinking that was a Mitch McConnell because he definitely does that.
Yes, absolutely.
One more last point before we jump to this next story. You pointed out things that they could possibly do when they're talking about reinvesting in the country, maybe some more manufacturing jobs, probably potential wage increases, things that Americans need as far as their working and their also their economic standing, right? The land of opportunity we like to talk about. Policies like that, initiatives, ideas, that would lead to something that McCarthy said, which was putting America first. What does it mean to put America first? Because every time someone suggests something to put America first, they go, why are you trying to give something to these freeloaders? Do they actually care about Americans? They don't give a damn about you.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.